This is what's here. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Bear with us. This is the first time we are doing something like this, and we want to make sure that it's streaming okay on Facebook. It looks like we've got 13 watchers. And bear with us while we try to address comments and things like that. Again, good afternoon. Yesterday, I provided a more detailed update to the City of Westbrook's response to the coronavirus crisis and state of emergency that we're in. I established the coronavirus task force, and department heads met to discuss the city's plans moving forward regarding this situation. So far, I just wanted to go through some of the actions that we have taken as a city. Specifically, this situation evolves by the minute and by the hour, and things change all the time. So we are constantly trying to keep up with things that are going on here. It's definitely important that we know that this is fluid and things may change. But the things we have done so far here in the city of Westbrook is in conjunction with the federal government declaring a national state of emergency, and Governor Janet Mills enacting an emergency proclamation, as well as we did that here in the city of Westbrook on Sunday, March 15th. And what that does is gives us the authority to make emergency decisions for the protection of the city and provides access to critical federal funds and resources. And so that is why we did that. That also allows us to make decisions for the community, as you have seen in the city of Portland, where they ordered the closure of bars and restaurants today for St. Patrick's Day to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus. That is not something that we chose to do here in the city, though we did provide a recommendation, which we will get into that shortly as well. And that authority does, allow us, should we need to, restrict the movement of people in the community, close certain streets and things of that nature. And it's a very serious tool that is part of our city ordinance and charter that needs to be handled responsibly. And this is something that we will continue to do here in the city of Westbrook, and be responsible with that order of the state of emergency. Given as I said, I established the mayor's coronavirus task force of key municipal officials, includes our public safety officials, our finance director, our city clerk, our city administrator and HR director, and also city council president Gary Reardon. We met yesterday in person. Maybe going forward, we will be using this technology, Zoom, to meet more as department heads and staff, as different recommendations come out for us to gather less. And we will hope to use this tool as well for other things in the future going forward. The other thing we did was we enacted a spending freeze on all discretionary expenses not critical to the operation of our city and this current state of emergency. So we will not be doing normal spending with things that are unnecessary for the city at this time. This situation not only has created a financial burden and crisis for our country, our economy, our residents, our businesses, it will also do the same for the city. And I want to let everyone know, in addition to this spending freeze, the city is prepared with appropriate emergency resources and fund balances to deal with a crisis like this. And we will be working with the city council in the future on our budget process and on the use of those reserve funds to keep the city afloat. That's not something that the city has always had available, with appropriate reserve funds to maintain the community in the form of a crisis, and we do have that. So there's no need to worry about the city's ability to maintain services and finances, though it does have a financial impact on us going forward, and we will be doing our best to mitigate the risk associated with that and its effect on the community, and specifically our property taxpayers, as that is very important to me and many others. The other thing that was done on Sunday evening, in addition to the state of emergency, we closed all municipal facilities to the public. This is to protect our employees, our residents, visitors, and guests from the potential spread of this. Specifically, protecting our employees is important to me as the mayor, so we can continue to deliver as much city services as possible without impact to the city's workforce. We are doing our best here at City Hall with our minimal staff to follow CDC's guidelines and maintain appropriate distances when possible and maintain cleanliness in order to be able to remain healthy as the leaders of your community, so that we can continue to serve you as best as possible in this emerging situation. We also canceled all public meetings through May 11th in accordance with CDC guidance. That CDC guidance specifically said all gatherings of 50 or more people, and they're even suggesting not gathering in groups of 10 or more people. So therefore, we followed that guideline here at the city and have canceled our meetings. Given that attendance can vary and is unpredictable, we thought that was the appropriate thing to do. That, in addition to the closing of all municipal facilities, is something that most all area towns and cities have done. And we will work to begin to explore and develop the ability for us to have virtual meetings, which are in compliance with state law. We have been briefed on items from Maine Municipal Association about the ability to have public meetings virtually using tools like this. This tool is something that is available. One second. We've got some internet unstable issues here at City Hall, so we're just making some adjustments to ensure that not everybody's trying to stream this all at the same time. So those things are folks that people, those things are our other area communities have done. We're working on the virtual meetings, like I said, using tools like this to see if it's possible, using the virtual, complying with state open meeting law. This tool does allow for public participation. If you've joined us via Facebook Live, you can comment on the event specifically or on the live post. And you could also, we're going to try to get on there and respond to some of those questions later in the broadcast today. And then also the Zoom functionality has the ability for folks to join a webinar, which allows you to submit questions and comments during the event, and I have that open. So if anyone has joined us using Zoom, the Zoom link, you have the ability to submit questions, and also on the Facebook Live link as well. So this is something we're going to try potentially to explore, the ability to have virtual meetings with all of our boards and commissions here in the city, specifically the city council, school committee, and planning board, which, given the length of time this state of emergency could last, we need to be able to get together to act on some things, specifically our municipal budget, our school budget, and business of the city cannot come to a complete halt, as there are many developers and businesses looking to expand and develop, and we want to see whatever way possible we can continue to do that while also protecting our community and the residents here in the city of Westbrook. And so we hope that this is the first time using this technology. We hope that it works out, and we'll see what we can do. All these recordings of all these lives will be posted to the city's YouTube page, as well as the city's Vimeo page, and also on the city's channel 2 and 3 page that's linked through our website, so people can see that. And we will be working with our TV staff to get those potentially rebroadcast on the channels that are on TV going forward. So folks who don't have this technology can also be informed about what's going on here in the city of Westbrook. We also enacted a new human resource policy, which is a pandemic policy that allows us to take action. And that's something that has been enacted as part of the state of emergency to take action on things that affect our employees' health and wellness associated with this pandemic and this crisis. So that information will be posted on our website for folks who would like to know what that policy consists of. And again, because we're doing this in and trying to prepare as best as possible in a fast manner and have as much information together as possible, we will be those documents will probably be fluid and updated on a regular basis, just like everything else I said at the beginning. So also, one of the things that we found is important, and the governor stated when she declared the state of emergency, is the capacity for childcare for our community, specifically surrounding public safety responders and city employees, as well as medical professionals, nurses, and doctors. So we are developing the possibility of offering childcare services at the Westbrook Community Center in compliance with CDC guidelines, and our city's health officer, Andrew Turcott, our chief Andrew Turcott, will speak to some of the health related things in the future, but the guidelines that are established in order to maintain that. And that's why we are only limiting that resource to public safety, first responders, emergency personnel, medical professionals who are residents or employees of the city of Westbrook. So that information is available through the Westbrook Community Center. To contact our director, Greg Post, his email address is gpost@westbrook.me.us. And right now we are just gauging the interest in the possibility of offering that service, given that we do have city employees able and ready to serve those members of our community who are needed during this emerging crisis. So if you are interested, again, please let us know by contacting the community center. Its information is available on the community center Facebook page and also on our website to contact Greg Post, again, gpost@westbrook.me.us if you are interested in that. Also, yesterday, the President of the United States released the coronavirus guidelines for America, and this is 15 days to slow the spread, where he advised in communities where transmission has occurred, bars, restaurants, gyms, and other venues where groups of people congregate should be closed. Again, that is a recommendation. It is not an order at this time. We do understand that action like that can be considered in the community as well as considered by the state and federal government. And at this time, that's not happening. One of the reasons, and we urge compliance with this guideline, and everyone should use drive-through pickup or delivery options. And I'll get back to drive-through pickup and delivery options shortly with some other options that we have here in the city. It's important that we try to follow that, because under the advice that we've received from CDC officials, specifically surrounding the country of Italy, they are in an extreme crisis. And part of the reason that they experienced that extreme crisis was they maintained business as usual during the initial response to the coronavirus. And so that's why our president and our governor is advising us to take as much precautions as possible, as early as possible, to limit the exposure of the virus. So we have made that suggestion. Like I mentioned earlier, the city of Portland did order the closure of all these bars and restaurants in the city for today only. as well as with some guidelines tomorrow. Again, that is not something that we are considering at this time, though should there be a need, we will consider that to protect the health and safety of our community. Also, at this time, a concern of folks is all business licenses may be extended past their expiration date until regular operations resume and inspections and applications can occur. And also the planning and code enforcement will be working to issue permits and accept applications for project. And I'll go through that in more detail shortly. And the main thing that I'm so proud of that we were able to execute here in the city, we have an amazing marketing and communications team led by our director, Tina Riddell, and our manager, Barry Dodd. They were able to launch a citywide webpage yesterday within hours, which provides details on the city's response to this state of emergency. Along with a list of frequently asked questions and information about municipal services. So part of today's Facebook Live today and Zoom Live today, we are going to go through that page and go through some of those items in more detail and explain why that's happening. Also on that page is information and resources available to help businesses recover from losses, as well as best practices for safety and employees. Before we dig into that page, so while I turn it over momentarily to Chief Turcotte to update us on the city's public safety response to the virus, that website is westbrookmaine.com/639/coronavirus. It's available on our Facebook page. Also, if you just go to westbrookmaine.com, it is available at the top of the page in an alert, so you can click on that and go through that with us momentarily. So as I said in yesterday's announcement, the city of Westbrook does have one presumptive case of an individual who is currently being treated at Maine Medical Center with the coronavirus. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Chief Turcotte, who's in regular communications with the CDC. He's also the city's appointed health officer, and he will update us. Not a lot of information is available on the case and may or may not become available, but also update us on the process and what our department staff are doing to protect themselves in this situation, as it's very important that we try to maintain the health and safety of our municipal employees. So I will now turn it over to Chief Turcotte. Chief, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Foley, for providing this information to our residents and for your leadership during this difficult period. I also want to thank our residents who are also trying to navigate these uncharted waters. But I have no doubt that every single person will get through this should they follow the CDC guidelines, because we have very resilient residents that live in Westbrook. So I want to thank them as well. The city of Westbrook has been preparing for COVID-19 going back to the end of December and into the beginning of January. So again, we've been preparing for many months and we expected that we would have a case at some point, and it is here. As the worldwide coronavirus outbreak continues to dominate our news every single day, we know that this is a source of growing concern for everybody in the community. Westbrook Fire and the city of Westbrook stand ready as a resource for the community that we continue to serve. And we want to assure all of you, your families and your friends, that you remain our top priority. To that end, we also want to share with you just a few questions and answers, the main ones that I've been continuing to get over the last few days, specific information for COVID-19. That information is also available on the website. And with this information, we can all work together to minimize the impact on our community. What can we do to keep ourselves, our family, and the larger community safe and well during this period? The best thing that we can do is the social distancing that Mayor Foley talked about. Washing your hands for 20 seconds, avoiding contact with other people is going to be the main priority. That 6 feet barrier, okay? Not touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. If you can keep, those three things as a priority, that is the best thing that we can do to prevent the spread. Now, what if you have symptoms or you think that you may have been exposed? It is understandable that any kind of cold or flu-like symptoms might provoke anxiety at this point in time, because it's dominating the news. Be aware, first and foremost, that the vast majority of people infected with the virus experience it as if they would a common cold or the flu, and most people make a full recovery. So again, the most common symptoms of COVID-19 are cough, fever, shortness of breath. So most individuals with symptoms need to do nothing more than stay at home and self-quarantine. And again, it's self-care. Again, this information is up on CDC guidelines and on our city's website. What we're doing at the fire department to prepare. All of our individuals at public safety have had additional training on infectious control and on infectious disease process. In addition, every individual that come into work are being proactively taking temperatures twice daily to ensure that we don't have fevers. In the event that an employee has a fever, we are proactively sending them home to ensure that our community is safe and ensure that they do not have potential COVID-19. Furthermore, what are we doing to prepare here? We are working with city staff, including our task force, to update our pandemic annex, and also working with CDC, particularly the epidemiologist, to ensure that if there is an outbreak or continual outbreaks, that we can isolate those areas, trace those back, again, to prevent any future spread. But all in all, if we can prevent, again, social distancing, washing our hands, that is the best thing that we can do. Again, as the mayor alluded to earlier, if you have any flu-like symptoms and experience shortness of breath, or are concerned about your symptoms, or have reason to believe that you're exposed, call your healthcare provider and give them the heads up. For more information, look at our website, www.westbrookmaine.com, contact CDC, look at their website, or contact anybody at the fire department or myself as the city health officer. Again, as Mayor Foley alluded to, information is always changing. It's very fluid. As that information becomes available, we will share that with you. And on that note, Mayor Foley, back to you unless you have any additional questions.
Thank you, Chief. One question just came in on the Zoom that's relevant. I'm having a hard time getting all the Facebook questions, but we'll see what we can do to get into those towards the end. We may answer a lot of your questions on the page, but one of the questions, and I'll do my best to answer it, was, do we have any idea to how the Westbrook resident contracted the virus? At this point, we do not. The CDC will be conducting an investigation should their resources allow themselves to do that. What we will say is that the cases have pretty much doubled since yesterday, and they will probably continue to do that pattern. I'm listening to the director of the Maine CDC today. They are beginning to see a lot of spikes and a lot of tests being done. And so that will continue to grow. And so their ability to respond to every single case to determine how the person got it may be a challenge for them. Do you have anything more to add to that, Chief?
So I can tell you that CDC staff are swamped. They're doing the best they can to keep up with the investigation, doing the trace confirmation and contacts. But again, we're going to have to try to be as patient as we can. The testing, the initial presumptive testing could take 4 to 8 hours. And then certainly to confirm the testing, that goes back to the CDC lab in Augusta. And for confirmation, we're looking at an additional 24 to 48 hours, again, depending upon how many tests they have to do.
Thank you, Chief. So at this point, we will transition over to our city website that we enacted. Again, that's westbrookmaine.com/639/coronavirus. And it's specifically, we don't have any information on our website about the virus specifically and the response to it. The wealth of information, if you go to that Facebook page, that web page, again, you can access it from westbrookmaine.com. I'm going to try to share it for folks to see the that actual page so we can go through it together. Bear with me. Let's see, Chrome. Okay, so that page should be visible to folks at home that are watching. So any information, some of the information that the chief talked about the virus specifically, the state's response, and things of that nature can be found on the main CDC website. A link to that is available on the City of Westbrook's coronavirus page, and then also the CDC as well, with some specific links on control and prevention and how to protect yourself and what to do if you think you are sick. So again, those are things that the city, because that information is changing on a daily basis, in addition to the city's response, that's information that we don't need to maintain, as it's all available and accessible through there. So just to go through this page, it has a wealth of information and maybe expand on some things so folks can know about that. I also wanted to mention I'm joined here in the mayor's office with City Administrator Jerry Bryant and Economic Development Director Daniel Stevenson, who if we need information, we will talk to them as well. And Dan specifically is going to talk about some of the impacts to businesses here in the community later on during this time together. But so all municipal facilities to review are currently closed to the public. For any emergencies, please dial 911. If you are concerned or have questions, I know this isn't on our page, but we will get this added as well. You can contact 211, where they have questions, where you can get questions answered about other related things involving the state and the state's response. But please do not overwhelm our emergency communications dispatchers to contact via 911. To ask questions about the city's response, or to even if you potentially feel ill and have questions, if you're not in dire straits, like Chief Turcotte said, contact your healthcare provider and review those options with them, and they will also review with you what you should do to contact 911 or be transported. So if you do have questions about city services and things that are going on, City Hall can be contacted. Again, I said we have a skeleton staff here. We're trying to utilize our employees as best as possible while maintaining CDC guidelines, but they are available to answer questions. And there's a lot of questions that can be answered right on this page that we'll go through. So police, fire, and rescue and public services remain fully operational. Our law enforcement personnel are out patrolling and protecting the community, specifically doing building checks on a lot of our shut businesses and things of that nature to make sure we are maintaining the safety and security of our community during this time. Our fire rescue personnel have been very busy responding to emergency medical calls, as well as we had a recent fire Sunday evening where they responded on Route 302 Bridgeton Road near Dunkin' Donuts, and they were able to extinguish that fire in a very quick manner, minimizing the damage to that business and that building. So they have been very busy, and they are doing their best to maintain everything. We are exploring with both police, fire, and rescue potentially changing of shifts for our employees to allow them ample time to get home and rest and to stay healthy and be with their families during this difficult time. And we will be potentially making those changes in the future should conditions change. And again, that is something that we've been working with labor management and our unions to navigate those processes and what will happen. Public services remain fully operational. They're doing their best to, despite the light winter that we've had, to continue to maintain the city's equipment while again practicing CDC guidelines and keeping things clean, and are still working on maintaining the streets and getting our fields and facilities ready for the spring, hoping that this crisis is ending soon. And also they will be fully available should we have any snow emergencies during this time in the remaining winter season. And so they are fully operational, and again, all those facilities are closed to the public. If you do have an emergency or you need to go to the police and fire station, you can, there is a phone in the locked lobby where you can seek to speak with an emergency communications officer and get that assistance. So to view a list of other online services or to make online payments for city-related things, there is a link there. It's westbrookmaine.com/388/online-services. Again, that's available from our coronavirus page. So you can see all the myriad of online services, but I'm going to speak to some of them specifically in a moment. And again, to reiterate, all public meetings are canceled at this time, specifically until May 11th. And right now we don't have a specific date on the reopening of school facilities. So the other thing that's important, the largest amount of facilities we have in the city are our schools. And so the Westbrook School Department has a page specific to them, which I will see if I can bring up here and share with everyone. I think everybody can see it. And so the Westbrook School Department, Dr. Lancia is extremely busy, and he'll be joining us on future updates that we do like this here from the city of Westbrook and City Hall about what we are doing to educate our children and feed our children during this time frame. At this point, the Westbrook schools are still closed for 2 weeks, beginning yesterday, March 16th, and we will be updated on those things. And I applaud the schools for their swift action in that act of closing the schools, and as well as preparing yesterday to deliver all school-related materials so folks can get their computers and work to be prepared to work from home and study from home, as well as many teachers and staff are communicating via email with students, and we appreciate all the school department staff flexibility for that. The other important thing that's happening is our schools are available to feed students and kids Monday through Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. You can, at this point, you can go to any schools to pick up a meal. Every child may receive a meal and no one will be turned away. And lunch and breakfast will be served in packaged meals in order. I also believe, just on the subject of meals, I believe My Place Teen Center is also serving meals that can be picked up, and check out their Facebook page and website for more information on that. So the Westbrook schools are doing a great job to prepare for this. Dr. Lancia, Superintendent Dr. Lancia, is providing updates via phone call system that the school has, as well as keeping everyone up to date on their website. So for any school related updates, please check out their website, which is also available on that portion. So for our public services department, curbside trash and recycling is essential service that will continue as normal. During this time, bulky items will not be collected. Bulky items can be brought to Casella Waste at 594 County Road on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 4 and Saturdays from 8 to 1. Winter sand is still available 24/7 via the pickup portion outside the public services facility until April 15th. Public services is operating at full staff and is ready to handle any weather-related event, for example, snow plowing. Woodlawn Cemetery is currently closed for burials for the winter months, although we are experiencing an early spring with the coronavirus complications. We are remaining closed. We will reevaluate this service on April 15th. The Westbrook Wastewater Division would like to remind residents on public sewer that if for any reason they need to resort to anything other than toilet paper, to refrain from flushing them down the toilet. These can clog your private sewer lateral drain and your sewer main and cause issues for you and your neighbors. Given that there has been, not sure the complete reason to it, but a shortage of toilet paper, we know that folks will be taking other means. All those other options, and there is a thing of all the different items that we suggest you don't flush down the toilet and put in this sanitary sewer system to dispose of those items in the normal trash versus flushing them down the toilet. That is very important. We don't want to compromise our sewer system. And this is something we've reminded people on a regular basis, but given this potential crisis, we want to make sure folks don't do that during this time. And we thank you everyone in advance, and our sewer division thanks you to prevent any issues. And it's good for, as homeowners, to avoid any plumbing issues and things like that you don't want to have to be dealing with during this time of crisis. The Westbrook Community Center is another essential part of our community. All general assistance meetings will be by appointment only and over the phone wherever possible. To schedule an appointment, please contact their office directly at their number, which is on the website, and that's available to Westbrook residents only. The Westbrook Community Food and Resource Center, or known as our food pantry, will be open on Tuesdays from 12 to 2. So they just closed, and again from 5 to 7 when they will open up again. And visitors to the pantry should go to exterior door number 25, which is near the front parking lot in the front of the building, where volunteers will provide pre-packaged bags of food for Westbrook residents in need of that resource. Should you have any questions, contact them with their number as well. Meals on Wheels will continue to deliver prepared meals to homebound older adults in Westbrook and Portland communities. If you have any information, please contact them. As well as all non-essential programs at the community center are suspended until further notice, and the building is closed to the public. All inquiries should be directed to Greg Post, Director of Community Services, at his email, gpost@westbrook.me.us. And again, they have a very active Facebook page where they're updating everybody on a regular basis, and on their website. The only other thing I'll add is the potential to offer childcare services again for members of our emergency responders, medical personnel, and City of Westbrook employees who potentially may need childcare services during this crisis. We are evaluating potentially offering that using city staff in compliance with CDC guidelines. If you are interested in that, please contact Greg at the Westbrook Community Center. Again, it is limited to emergency responders and medical personnel and City of Westbrook employees, given that is all we have available resources for now. The city clerk's office, dog license applications can be completed and mailed into the clerk's office, and they also can be processed online as part of the online services. You may apply also online for vital records, birth, death, or marriage certificates by mail or online, and the link to make those applications as possible. We do have, again, I said limited staff here at City Hall, so we receive those requests and we'll process those requests as promptly as possible. As City Hall is temporarily closed to the public, we're not taking appointments to perform any marriages ceremonies at this time, and we are not providing any notary or dedimus justice services. You can contact the state. There's a state link to the state's website where you can find a notary or dedimus justice in your area. Again, the Westbrook Police Department remains fully operational, and there's some details about services they're not offering, which is fingerprinting services, and they will not be doing any drug take-back program at this time. And we ask that folks do not come to the station to fill out records requests or property request form or concealed weapons permit applications. Those requests and forms are available on our website and can be mailed to the station for our staff to process those. Planning and code enforcement is another critical resource in our city, and we're doing our best to maintain as much as possible given this difficult state of emergency. Building permit applications can be emailed to the office for review by our code enforcement officer. Approval of permits will be sent notifications by email or mail, and payment arrangements can be mailed to the city. Contact our great planning and code enforcement staff for directions and on payment arrangements, and we appreciate them working through this flexibility. During this time frame, until further notice, there are no on-site code enforcement inspections that will be conducted by city staff for at least 2 weeks, beginning yesterday, March 16th. We will continue to evaluate this matter on a week-by-week basis. On certain case-by-case situations, pictures of the building and projects may be accepted via email. And this all depends on the circumstances surrounding the permit and the inspection process, and approval of those inspections will be done via email. The planning board permits and process at this time, the city will continue to accept planning board applications during regular business hours. 7:30 to 5 by ringing our doorbell at City Hall and leaving the submission packet at the codes and planning door for a staffer to pick up. Again, they won't be having conversations with members of the public other than by phone or via email. So just leave those items for us so we'll know, or call in to let us know those have been left. And the planning codes and planning door is in the back of our facility. And also those can be sent via mail. Payments of applications will be able to be made by check, mailed, and we are considering options for accepting credit cards over the phone at this time, and just inquire with them about that in that department. So planning board meetings have been canceled at this time until May 11th, like all other meetings, and we will again explore the possibilities of potentially having virtual meetings and working with planning board members to see if that is a possibility, also in compliance with state law, but we are not sure what the options are at this point. We are diligently working to protect the health and safety of our city, and then we'll be, exploring measures to maintain as much city operations as possible going forward. If you have any questions about planning and code enforcement, please contact them at their office. Their hours are from 7:30 to 4. So in a moment, I'm going to invite Dan Stevenson to the desk, to our economic development director, to speak specifically about business resources and recovery. But I want to highlight two things that he's going to talk about. The Governor Mills expeditiously made application to the Small Business Administration for disaster recovery loans, and there is a link to that on our website. The other thing that I'm proud and excited about, given the struggle for us to gather within the community at bars and restaurants in an effort to help maintain as much business as possible for our business owners, we have initiated a gathering of information. So many other cities in the state have started doing this, where we call it the Westbrook Restaurant, Grocery, Food, and Beverage Takeout and Delivery List. And this is a list of businesses in the community that we know are serving takeout or serving the public in some form or fashion that is safe and appropriate given the CDC guidelines. So if you go to the website, the coronavirus page on our website, there is a link where you can fill out a form where you will tell the city what information is available, and that process we will collect those items and publish a list also on this page, a link to that list of businesses that are operating in the city of Westbrook. So there's a one-stop resource for people to be able to know which businesses. And we have published that on social media and Facebook, and do our best to get that out to residents as quickly as possible. So business owners, food and beverage places, grocery stores, get to our website and get that submitted as quickly as possible so we can get that list on our site. And then also, before Dan comes, the other important thing that has been happening, two more important things, and Dan will cover them a little bit more detail, but is anyone, we've learned from Representative Drew Gatine, who serves us in the state legislature, that the Maine legislature is considering a number of emergency bills today before their adjournment to address the crisis. And one of those is regarding unemployment. If for some reason you have fall into this crisis and with your employment situation and have become unemployed, our heart is with you, and we completely understand the frustrations associated with that situation. We ask that you follow the state's guidance on applying for unemployment and wait until after today, because unemployment typically has a waiting period for unemployment applications, whereas part of the emergency legislation, the waiting period will be terminated, and therefore you'll be able to be eligible for unemployment immediately as part of this crisis. So please, if you're laid off this week, our heart is with you, but make your unemployment claim as soon as this bill is passed, so that way you don't have to wait for anything. And then the last thing that's an important service here at City Hall, and I'll I'll get into it a little bit further down, but vehicle registrations. So vehicle registrations is available online. Normally that's a process that state has, and you can make those registrations online, pay your excise tax and do all that stuff via the internet. For those who are unable to do that, we are accepting renewal requests via mail or by phone, and we can help process those registrations as soon as possible. And the one area that we've struggled is the processing of new car registrations. For anyone who's purchased a new or used car, those, and they have temporary plates, those need typically physical in-person registrations for the city to look at the title and all the associated information as part of that. That process, until today, we were directing folks to the Department of Motor Vehicles, who had more protections in place for their employees serving the public with windows and such, but they have since closed the Department of Motor Vehicles at this time. So I'm certain that there'll be more guidance from the governor and the state regarding other Department of Motor Vehicles processes, but we do have the ability to register vehicles, new and used vehicles that have recently been purchased. And that process is outlined on this page as well. So anyone who has a new or used vehicle they've recently purchased and have temporary plates, you can do that registration. Contact us here at City Hall at 854-9105. We can gather information, and all the information that you need is on that website. So you can call us with that information and mail the appropriate documents and stuff so we can process that for you as soon as possible. So definitely review that information. At this time, before I continue with some other stuff on our page, I'm going to turn it over to our Economic Development Director, Daniel Stevenson, to review things that are going on in the business world other than the items I just addressed. Dan.
Hello, and thank you, Mayor Foley. I appreciate the opportunity to add what I can. My comments today are going to be specific to the business community and workers. I'd like to make 4 specific points. But first, I'd like to say that for regular, factual, and updated information and guidance, we strongly recommend that you follow the City of Westbrook's coronavirus page or the resources that are listed there. I cannot emphasize that enough, to stay in, to get the most updated information as it is changing regularly. If you go to the City of Westbrook's coronavirus page, you will see a section on there for business resource and recovery. Under that page, I'd like to make 4 points under that section. The first point is, in an immediate effort to support the restaurants, grocery stores, we've recently included, as the mayor also just stated, Westbrook's restaurant, grocery, food, and beverage takeout and delivery. It's a form, it's a fillable form, it's simple, and it's 1 page. So if you're a restaurant having delivery, pickup, or food service, please complete the 1-page form. We will post it daily. We will also update it on social media and share with our local partners to get it out, to help support our small business communities who are really directly affected by what's happening right now. We see this as an opportunity for our restaurants to be able to continue to have curbside pickup or delivery. So please support your local businesses that complete these forms or otherwise are offering that service moving forward. Number 2, for the City of Westbrook to stay informed and connected with federal and state business resources, we will participate in 2 Department of Economic and Community Development and Maine Department of Labor meetings tomorrow, Wednesday, focusing on coronavirus business impact and resources. We will provide updates to you as a result of the meetings and as new information becomes available. Number 3, there are several links on our webpage to state and federal agencies dealing directly with business and worker policy changes, resource allocations, and options and guidance, such as the Maine Governor's Office, Maine's Department of Economic and Community Development, and Maine's Department of Labor. Under Maine's Department of Labor, and with respect to unemployment and concerns, The governor's proposed new legislation that would enhance the flexibility of unemployment insurance program and to address issues that arise during this emergency. We expect the bill will be taken up by the legislature today, Tuesday, March 17th. For the time being, the Maine Department of Labor advises all individuals who are out of work either partially or totally to visit the Maine Department of Labor website and follow the directions at the site on how to file a claim. Once, Maine Department of Labor will update its page once the legislation is enacted. Once final action on the bill is taken, the Maine Department will post information about the adjustments to the program, as well as answers to common questions. And finally, number 4, we are receiving a number of calls from our business community that are directly affected by the coronavirus. And important for our business community is the U.S. Small Business Administration's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program that the mayor was talking about earlier. Governor Mills has announced Maine is the first state to be approved for funding. And it's imperative that any small business that is seeking working capital, please visit the governor's website for the next steps if you're experiencing these hardships. That would be the place to go to get the most updated information and to fill out anything necessary in order to move forward to accessing low interest loans for capital, for working capital loans moving forward. And once again, please follow all of the sites, including our site, for the most up-to-date and factual information. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You can also contact me, the city of Westbrook, at dstevenson.westbrook at dstevenson@westbrook.me.us. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Mayor Foley. This was yours.
Thank you, Dan, for that update on stuff related specifically to businesses. I apologize. I'm trying to be able to see the Facebook comments and see if we can answer those as best as possible. Thank you, Dan, for joining us. If you want to come back, you can. Sure. We're looking to keep everybody up to date with as much information as possible. So I apologize for the length of this, but this is very important information, and we want residents to know as much as possible. I got a couple of questions in on the Zoom meeting that I will try to answer momentarily, and then also we'll try to get the Facebook questions and get to them at the end. If not, we'll try to respond to them after. So right now our Veteran Service Office, which has recently been open thanks to our Veteran Service Officer, Artie Ledoux, that is currently closed until the community center resumes normal operations. Artie is accessible via email or by phone. So you can contact through our normal Veteran Services contact points. But otherwise, there's our information about contacting for our veterans, Bureau of Veteran Services, and any crisis hotline that you may be in. So we encourage veterans to view that information if they need. Also, the Walker Memorial Library is currently closed. If you have any reference or general technology questions, those can be emailed to the library, and their emails on the website. If you need to renew your library card, that information is available. And you can also download ebooks and audiobooks on your computer via many different technology options at yourlibrarycloud.com to have some of those resources during this state of emergency crisis. We have a complete list of digital resources available for library patrons, and that's also available on their website, walkerlibrary.org/digital resources, and that's also, the link for that is on the page. Our assessing department is accepting information a lot like our planning and code enforcement department. Homestead and veterans exemption applications can be mailed into the office for processing, as well as emailed in with supporting documents when necessary. Billing addresses and name changes can be called in, mailed in, and emailed in, and residents wishing to discuss property values or have any other assessing questions can also call the office for information. Again, along with inspections, starting on March 16th for the next 2 weeks, no residential sales survey inspections will be conducted by city staff, and we will work to evaluate this matter on a week-by-week basis. And so also on our website is we have a timeline of the city of Westbrook's response to the coronavirus public health emergency, of all the different actions that we've taken surrounding this. And as you can see, it's been a fluid, fast-moving item, with our first statement issued on May 12th, a subsequent station message on March 13th, canceling meetings, and then March 15th, the state of emergency proclamation and the closure of all municipal facilities. And then the update we provided yesterday with the announcement of one case of coronavirus here in the city of Westbrook. And then further down on the page is tons of frequently asked questions. So go through those. That can answer a lot of our questions, given that we do have a skeleton crew and limited staff on right now to comply with CDC guidelines. A lot of that information can be answered online. It's also a good time to learn about all the online services that are available to residents of the city of Westbrook. So we did have one question that we answered earlier about, did we know how the resident contacted the virus? And then there was a question about knowing, where the virus came from. Currently, that information is protected based on HIPAA and CDC guidelines. CDC, like folks mentioned, the cases specifically in Falmouth and Cape Elizabeth, they outlined potential locations of where it came from or whatever. That's up to them to release that information. The city is not at liberty to release that information. And so we don't have that specific information. Though, just to add in as far as how the person contracted it, we believe that it's happened through community spread. And basically that's why the president and the governor are taking the actions that they're taking. And so these aren't people that traveled and went to Italy or went to China and came home and became infected. It's being passed around from community members. So community spread is the reason why the city is taking the action to do that. So we will leave it up to CDC to release that specific information about the cases in Westbrook, and the chief will continue to provide those updates to us, and we as the city administration and staff will update the community when we have that information. The chief indicated the CDC is currently overwhelmed at this time, and so it's both our medical facilities, staff aren't prepared to deal with a situation like this, as this is unprecedented in our nation's history. And so we need to have some flexibility and understanding surrounding that situation, and hope everyone will understand and have some patience with us during this difficult time. So I'm going to go through some questions as best I can on Facebook. We had a question about salons and those types of services. I would just direct people to follow CDC guidelines until any issues or until any statements are issued further closing those facilities. So it's definitely up to the operator and the consumer of whether or not they want to engage in those services, given the recommendations around CDC. So at this point, the city hasn't ordered the closure of any businesses, though we have, again, recommended the closure of businesses where transmission can occur, such as bars, restaurants, gyms, and other venues of people where groups of people congregate. And we ask everybody to try to comply with that guideline. Okay, let's see what else we have for questions on Facebook. It looks like I'm having a hard time being able to see them all, but it looks like a lot of the questions, I think, have been covered as part of our information that we have in the city's website, and that we've discussed today. So I appreciate everyone's support. Again, this is an unprecedented time for the city of Westbrook, and our hearts go out to the community as we together work to protect the health and safety of everyone in the city of Westbrook. That's, again, our top priority, as well as trying to deliver municipal services in an effective and safe manner when and wherever possible. So we thank everybody for their support during this situation and understanding as we continue to support our frontline public safety employees and public services employees who continue to be out. We just ask that you, again, follow the CDC guidelines in protecting your health and well-being. The CDC had a press conference today, the main CDC, and announced that more guidelines would be coming from them. So be prepared for that type of information. We hope everyone, despite the circumstances, has a happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm planning to go home with my family this evening and enjoy a boiled dinner that I put in a crock pot. So we hope everyone has some time to spend with family and do the important things with your family during this difficult time. If you have any questions for the city of Westbrook, don't hesitate to reach out via all the different contact methods that are available via phone, email, Facebook, social media, and let us know what we can do to help. We hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful day, and despite the circumstances, and we will be sure to update you when we have more information and more updates here in the city of Westbrook. We apologize for the length that this took, but we thank you again for your understanding, and we will be in touch soon with updates and more things like this, given the circumstances that we're in. Have a wonderful evening.